What is up and welcome back, and today we have the LeBron 20. This is going to be a very hype shoe right now. It's also going to be one of the more expensive basketball shoes out there, going for 200 USD. I do have to say, I do love this colorway. It's going to be the Time Machine. It has those Miami vibes all throughout. It also comes with an extra pair of shoelaces if you want to add more color to your shoes. So without further ado, let's get into the review of this shoe. So first of all, I do have to say, when I took this shoe out the box, man, I was really impressed because I was looking forward to seeing this colorway in person, and it did not disappoint. The shoe's gonna have all throughout that double X's design. Here's a couple examples in front of the shoe. Has that luxury feel to it, and also in the tongue. I love the graphic on the side bumpers. Very clean. With this right here, it kind of has like a little bit of that green light vibe to it. And we can see that it's a good combination with the highlighter pink. We also got the highlighter orange right here in the center. Turn it around. You can see the Nike sign. Going to be that highlighter green. That light color. And I do love the double Nike signs right here in the front. And we can tell that one of them, depending how the light hits it, it changes color. And that makes the shoe really pop right there. Love how that looks. Now, what I want to do in this video is talk about the specs and how the shoe is going to perform if you're thinking of deciding to wear this shoe for actually playing on the basketball court. So let's get into some of that. The shoe does come with a card, as you can see. And it has a lot of the specs on here. Gives you the whole breakdown. So this is going to be like a cheat sheet. So here's the breakdown of these details. You are going to get 2 zoom units. One's going to be for the forefoot, and that's going to be a turbo zoom unit. The one's going to be top loaded. Now in the back, you are going to have a thicker zoom air unit. Now the combination of both these zoom units is going to provide very good cushioning, especially for those landings. But you are going to feel the zoom unit a lot more in the front of the foot, in front of the shoe. Definitely on those push-ups or just when you're walking, you definitely feel that zoom unit right there in the front. So that's good to have. Now we move on to the midsole of the shoe. It is going to come with a full-length cushion for the cushioning. And that's going to be very plush. You can press down on it and you can see that it's very soft. So if you like those shoes that have a plush-like feel to them, this is going to be it. Now we get a close-up for the traction for the bottom of the shoe. We can see that it's going to be multi-directional. And I do like to see that, because multi-directional does give you a lot of leeway, especially for those hard stops and goes. But also, it does provide the shoe with a nice bite. Plus, especially with the $200 shoe, you do expect a little bit of traction to be on the side of the shoe. And we see that here as well. Turn it around. So the more expensive shoes are definitely going to have some of the traction on the bumpers or the outriggers of the shoe. And there's no exception in this one. You can see that the traction is not going to be too deep for the grooves and ridges. So definitely this shoe is not going to be good to play outdoors. So make sure if you get this shoe, you're not using it for outdoors. Especially for a $200 shoe, you want to preserve it and use it indoors because you're going to get the best use out of it. Also, what I do love about shoes is when they come with a shank plate. This one right here is going to be made out of carbon fiber, and I love to see that in a basketball shoe because they do support the arches if you're having arch problems in your feet. But not just that, but when you have a shank plate, it gives a lot of good energy return. Now in further detail, I do want to talk about the quality of this shoe because you are paying a high price for this basketball shoe. If we take a look at the laces, these are going to be some nice crisp laces, and they're going to be a nice thickness to them. So that's what you expect from a top tier basketball shoe. And when you tie them up, and it's going to give you a good lockdown in the center. Now this basketball shoe does that. You definitely feel the lockdown, especially right here in this area with these shoelaces and the lacing system. Now we look at the materials. It is going to be this kind of textile multi-directional mesh is what they call it. Multi-directional mesh. But it does, like I mentioned, kind of look like a textile if we get a close-up. And we do the light test, you can see kind of the woven design of this mesh right here. You are going to have certain gaps along the shoe, and that's going to add to the breathability of this material. And you have this for the majority of the upper, like we showed you earlier. So that's a huge plus. That kind of surprised me because lots of time when you have certain textiles or mesh designs that are kind of heavy, like this right here, this material is kind of firm. I kind of sometimes expect the shoes could be warm or be hot, but this one right here surprised me. And like we did the light test, it showed that you're actually going to get a little bit more breathability in this shoe than with other shoes that have a knit material. Now, one detail that I want to mention about this shoe that I like, that's kind of been going a little bit unnoticed, is this right here. You take a look at this green that goes all around the shoe, and you tend to see this a lot more. This is kind of like a Flywire that the shoe has, and like I said, you tend to see this a lot more in camping shoes and shoes that are made for outdoors, for going hiking or going rock climbing. They have this Flywire all throughout the shoe, and I like to see this in this LeBron shoe. I think it's pretty innovative because it does help out maintain the structure of the shoe. And we can see that it's also going to be on the inside of the tongue right there. Okay, so that definitely helps with the shoe. And again, this upper material is going to be not too flimsy. Maybe in the front it bends, right? But like we mentioned, it's a little bit thicker, so this shoe is going to hold its shape a little better. Now we take a look at the back of the shoe. You can see that it does come cushioned right here, and they're going to use Nike Sphere. That's what it's called. And as you can tell, it kind of looks like it has a little bit of craters or little indentations like a sphere. And this feels real good when you put this shoe on. I mean, I can't complain about it. It feels real solid, provides good support. I also wanted to mention that the back of the shoe comes with a heel clip, and that's going to be very supportive. It's going to protect your ankles, especially when you're moving around really fast. It's going to give you that lockdown feel. Now, we talked about a lot of good things about this basketball shoe. Now I'm going to tell you some things that I would have preferred were a little bit different. I do have to say that the sizing for this shoe, I am a wide footer, so if you are a wide footer, you're definitely going to have to go at least a half a size up, because the front of the shoe is going to be somewhat narrow. But if you have regular size feet or you have narrow feet, this shoe is going to be perfect for you. You can just go true to size because you do get a snug feel in this shoe. And again, wide footers, at least half a size up, or possibly if you're really wide, maybe a full size up. But that's going to be up to you to decide. Now, one detail I didn't want to pass up is that I tend to have a more narrow ankle. Okay, so when I put on this shoe, the lockdown, it felt good if I'm just using this shoe for walking around, just for wearing. If I were playing basketball, I did feel my ankle do a little bit of slipping up and down. So for me, the lockdown is not going to be a 10 out of 10. It's going to be more like a 9 out of 10. So if you tend to have that same issue like myself, you have a narrow ankle, maybe this shoe isn't going to be right for you because you are going to lose a little bit of speed when playing in this shoe. I also wanted to mention that the side bumpers for this shoe are my preferred. I would have wished they would have carried this outrigger or these side bumpers a little bit higher, kind of like around this area, because I do tend to do a lot of toe drags. Because of my play style, I do tend to step outward and then kind of bend inward when I do those crossovers. And a lot of fast pro players do this as well. Kyrie Irving or Kemba Walker, they really get low to the ground. So that's something to look out for, especially if you start noticing some wear right here. Just know that it's because this side bumper is not as high or as thick. And for the outside, I mean, it's not too bad. I tend not to have problems on the outside, it's more on the inside. So that's something I would have preferred a $200 shoe would have had. It would have been a lot higher. It would have been a lot better for my playstyle. Now, if you're deciding to buy this shoe, you have to think about your playstyle. Because LeBron James' playstyle, we all know, he can pull up from the three. He likes to post up a lot of players. And also, he can get up there and dunk. So this shoe is going to provide everything that he needs. It's going to provide that cushioning for him. And now he's going with the low top, right? So this shoe is probably going to be a little bit faster than some of his other shoes. But if you're a guard, you're not going to get everything you want, because this shoe is not going to sit really low to the ground. You're not going to get that real good ground feel, because with all the cushioning and the zoom units, you are going to be a little bit higher off the ground. And we talked about the sizing, okay? So think about the shape of your foot, because if you are like myself, you have a narrow ankle, maybe this shoe might not be appropriate for you because you are going to lose a little bit of speed with that loose lockdown. So hopefully with this video you're able to make up your mind if this shoe is going to be right for you. It definitely has great style, so you're going to look real good on the basketball court. Now it's going to be an issue where deciding if it's going to perform how you like it or if you're just going to get it for the aesthetics. And with all that said, these were the LeBron 20. They go for $200 USD, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.